The rescue in the dust zone. The wind howled through the dust zone like a wounded beast. Sharp sand flew across the sky, scratching the metal of Jace's helmet. He adjusted his visor and checked his scanner again. The signal was weak, but it was still there. Something was giving off heat behind the old cargo wreck. Probably just a broken power core, Jace muttered to himself. He was alone. The dust zone was marked as dangerous, off limits, but he had come anyway. He was a repair tech. His job was to keep the station running, even if it meant going into places where no one else would. As he stepped around a bent support beam, he froze. Someone was crying, not a human cry. It was higher, softer, but full of fear. He turned slowly and raised his light. Behind a fallen panel, two wide eyes stared back at him, green and glowing. A small alien girl crouched there, hugging her knees. Her silver skin was bruised, her dress torn. Tiny horns curled from her forehead, and her hair shimmered like blue flame. She didn't speak. She just looked at him and cried. Jace lowered his scanner. "Hey," he said gently. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The girl flinched when he stepped closer. Her hands trembled. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Jace crouched down slowly, keeping his voice calm. "You're hurt. Let me help." The girl shook her head. Her mouth moved, but he didn't understand her words. Her language was strange, soft, like wind chimes. But pain is a language all beings understand. She pointed to her leg. It was twisted badly. Jace cursed under his breath. "All right," he said. "I'm going to lift you. It might hurt, but I'll be quick." She didn't respond. But when he reached out, she didn't pull away either. Carefully, Jace picked her up. She was lighter than he expected. Her body shivered against him as the wind howled louder. Sand stung his suit, but he held her close and turned back toward his rover. Each step felt heavier. The dust storm thickened. His visor blinked with warnings. Visibility low, pressure dropping, suit integrity at risk. But he didn't stop. "Just a little more," he whispered. The girl buried her face in his chest. Finally, he reached the rover. He opened the back hatch and gently placed her inside. Her eyes watched him, full of fear and something else. Hope. Jace sealed the door, climbed into the driver's seat and pushed the engine. The rover groaned but moved. Outside, the world was red and gray, a sea of moving sand. He drove through, it like a blind man in a maze, guided only by the faint hum of the station's beacon. Inside the cabin, the girl stared at everything. Her fingers brushed the seat fabric like it was treasure. When she looked at Jace, her eyes were filled with questions. "We'll get you to the medbay," he said. "You'll be okay." She didn't understand the words, but maybe she understood the tone. She reached out and touched his arm. It was a small gesture, but Jace felt something deep shift inside him. Not just pity, not just duty, something warmer. When the rover reached the station gate, alarms went off. Security bots rolled up. A voice came through the speaker. "You've crossed into the restricted zone. State your reason." Jace opened the hatch and lifted the girl again. She was left out there, he said, alone. Hurt. I couldn't leave her. The bots scanned them both. The guards came next, 4 of them, with weapons ready. They looked at the girl like she was dangerous. But she didn't run. She didn't scream. She just clung to Jace. "She's a child," he said, standing firm. "Look at her. Does she look like a threat?" The guards hesitated. Then the medic came running. An older woman, soft-voiced and sure. She knelt beside the alien girl and touched her hand gently. "We'll take care of her," the medic said. "You did the right thing." Jace didn't say anything. He just nodded and let go. As they wheeled the girl away, she turned her head. Her hand reached back. Jace stepped forward and held it for just one more second. Then she was gone into the medbay lights. He stood there, covered in dust and silence, staring at the door. He didn't know who she was, but he had a feeling this was not the end. It was just the beginning. The eyes that remember. The station lights were too bright for her. Kari blinked slowly, lying on the medbed, surrounded by strange sounds and soft machines. Clean sheets, warm air, and quiet voices. None of it felt real. Her body still ached, but her eyes searched the room for only one thing. The human who had held her hand. Jace. The name she couldn't speak, but her heart remembered. In the observation window, Jace stood still. He had not left the hallway since they took her in. His suit was dusty, face tired, but his eyes never moved from the glass. Inside the medbay, Dr. Halley checked Kayari's injuries. Her species was not from any known alliance, but the system scanned her cells fast enough. Broken bones, low temperature, dehydration. The girl had been lost in the dust zone for days. No food, no shelter, no rescue signal. Someone had abandoned her. Halley looked up. Jace, she's stable now, but there's something you need to see. He stepped in carefully. Kayari's eyes lit up the moment she saw him. She hasn't spoken a word, Halley whispered, but her vitals change when you enter. Her pulse slows. Her body relaxes. Jace stood beside the bed. Kayari reached for his arm again. Same hand, same grip. He smiled. Hey, fighter. You're still with us. Halley glanced at her tablet. She's not from any registered planet. No DNA match. No ID tag. She's a mystery, Jace. And someone wanted her gone. His smile faded. Kari touched his hand with her fingers, like tracing a pattern. Her other hand formed small shapes in the air, silent symbols. Halley blinked. She's signing. Signing? An ancient gesture language, more common in isolated alien tribes. I'll record and translate it later. Jace looked into Kari's glowing green eyes. There was fear, yes, but there was trust now too. She trusted him, even when the world behind them had thrown her away. Outside, Station Command received a message, one that made the alarms go silent for a moment. An unauthorized ship had arrived in orbit. Stealth class, dark metal, royal insignia. Burned into the hull. They weren't here to invade. They were here to reclaim. Hours later, the door to the medbay opened again. Kayari turned her head sharply. She felt it. The woman who entered was tall, her presence colder than steel. Her skin shimmered like crystal, eyes deep blue and ancient. Silver armor covered her form, but her hands trembled. It was Kayari's mother. Jace stood between them without thinking. The woman stopped. Then she did something that made the entire room fall silent. She knelt. Slowly, she placed her hands on the floor and bowed her head. I am Sorella of the Ice Moons, she said, her voice clear but shaking. You saved my daughter. I owe you more than words. Jace looked at Halley, confused. Sorella rose. She wandered from our transport. We searched. Someone erased her tracker. We feared she was gone forever. But your hands brought her back. Kari reached out again. Sorella moved to her side and dropped to her knees. She cupped her daughter's face, tears falling silently, but Kayari's hand pointed again, to Jace. Sorella followed her gesture, eyes locking onto his. She dreams about you, she whispered. Even in sleep she says the name she gave you, Nashin. It means safe one. Jace's heart twisted. Sorella stood again, taller this time. I must stay, not only for my daughter but for the bond she has formed. I must understand. Halley frowned. Stay? You're royalty. Our laws don't allow foreign dignitaries to live on the station without approval. Sorella tilted her head. I do not ask for permission. I ask for time. I wish to see him live. The man who held her when no one else would. Jace raised an eyebrow. You want to watch me? Not just watch, Sorella said softly. Learn. For the next 3 days, the station changed. Sorella did not return to her ship. She refused any royal quarters. Instead, she stayed close to Kari and closer to Jace. She followed him through his daily work, fixing energy grids, helping merchants, checking oxygen systems. She asked questions. She stared silently. And she noticed things How he always made space for others in tight halls. How he offered water to the tired workers first, before drinking. How he smiled at the smallest things, even when his hands were calloused and bleeding. In her world, strength was silence, but here, kindness was strength. That confused her and fascinated her. One night, Kari fell asleep in Jace's quarters, curled beside a stuffed maintenance drone he'd gifted her. The little lights on the toy blinked gently and her breathing slowed to peaceful rhythm. Jace and Sorella sat outside, near the empty cargo bay. "You're kind," Sorella said. "You are strange, soft-spoken, simple." Jace chuckled. "Is that a compliment? I used to think it was weakness. Now I am unsure." They sat in silence. Then she turned to him. Her face, once cold, now showed something warmer, something human. "You saved her life. Now I wonder," she whispered, "did you also change mine?" Jace didn't know what to say, so he didn't say anything. He just nodded and smiled. And for the first time, Sorella smiled back. When the mother arrived, the station's gravity hum was low that morning, like the calm before a thunderstorm. Sorella walked through the narrow halls of Outpost 12 with a presence that bent the air around her. Workers paused to stare. Cameras followed her. Even security bots slowed, confused by her aura. Alien queens didn't come to human outposts, and they definitely didn't wear plain robes and carry their own daughter's food. But Sorella did. She carried the small, warm bowl carefully, as if it were more precious than the ice jewels of her homeworld. Kari sat beside Jace in the med bay, laughing softly at the old human tablet game he had given her. A child's voice so small, but it filled the room with light. When she saw her mother, she smiled wide and reached out both hands. Sorella knelt and placed the bowl gently in her daughter's lap. Then she looked at Jace. "You've fed her, clothed her, comforted her. No one has ever done that outside our kind." Jace shrugged. "She needed help. I didn't think about kind. Just kindness." "Strange thing, kindness," Sorella said. "Where I come from, it's considered a luxury, but not everyone on the station was smiling." Commander Rourke stood in the control room, arms crossed, watching live feed of Jace and the Queen. "This is dangerous," he muttered. "You don't just let a foreign power embed itself in a civilian's life. Not like this. Not without rules." Dr. Halley sighed. "She's not here for war. She's here for her daughter." "You really believe that?" "I believe the girl would be dead if not for Jace, and that Queen, she's not acting like a ruler, she's acting like a mother." Rourke narrowed his eyes. "Or like someone studying her next move." 3 nights later the storm came, not outside but within. Someone broke into the outer cargo wing. Security systems caught the movement late. Jace was in the tool hangar when he heard the alert buzz. He ran before anyone else moved. He didn't grab a weapon. He didn't wait for backup. He just ran. When he reached the cargo wing, the lights flickered. A small figure ran past him. Kari, she, was scared, panting, looking for somewhere to hide. "Kari," he called. "Come here." She froze. Then 3 shadows stepped into the light. Masked, armored, not human, alien mercenaries. They weren't here to rob. They were here for Kari. The lead one pointed a shock staff at her. "Return the child." Jace moved fast, standing between them. "You don't belong here." The voice behind the mask was cold. "She is not your concern." "She's my friend," Jace said, fists tight. "And she's under protection. You cannot protect what you don't understand." The mercenary raised his weapon, and then he flew backward. Not from Jace, from Sorella. She dropped from the upper vent like a hawk, eyes blazing, armor shining with energy from her hidden crest. Her arm pulsed with silver light as she knocked the mercenary into a wall. The others turned to attack, but they were too late. In her full fury, Sorella was a force of nature. Her movements were fast, beautiful, deadly. Jace pulled Kari close and shielded her as her mother spun like a whirlwind, disarming all 3 invaders. When it was over, 2 were unconscious. 1 crawled away. Sorella didn't follow. She turned to her daughter instead and to Jace. They sat together later in his room, silent. Kari had fallen asleep again, curled between them. Sorella looked at Jace. I thought I had lost her forever. I prayed to the stars not for victory, but for a chance to hear her voice again. Jace nodded. And now you've got her back? Yes, she said. But I didn't expect you. He looked at her, confused. Sorella spoke slowly, carefully. On my world, we do not bond with other species. Not like this. But Kayari chose you. Her heart made space for you. She paused. And so has mine. Jace swallowed. What are you saying? I came here for her. Now I stay, because of what I've seen in you. Commander Rourke summoned them the next day. They entered the command hall together. Jace, Kayari, and Sorella. People whispered as they walked past. Rourke didn't waste time. Queen Sorella, your presence here is a diplomatic concern. Humans and your people have no official alliance. This bonding is... It is not political, she interrupted. Rourke raised an eyebrow. Then explain. Sorella looked at Jace. He saved my daughter. That's more than diplomacy. That is soul debt. In my culture, when a soul debt is formed, it cannot be broken. She stepped forward, hands open. And so I ask, with all our customs behind me, let me stay. Let me know his world. Let me join him. Not as a ruler, but as something closer. Everyone was silent. Jace didn't speak for a moment. Then he took her hand in his. She's not just asking to stay, he said quietly. She's asking to build something, with all of us. Kari smiled between them. Rourke sighed, and the room, once cold, began to feel warmer, living under one roof. Jace had lived alone for years. His room was small, one bed, one chair, a tool rack, a half-broken coffee machine. It smelled like metal and dust and oil. Now it smelled like flowers. Alien flowers. Sorella had brought them from her shuttle. Soft blue petals that floated in the air without falling. Their glow lit the corner like gentle fireflies. Kari had painted the walls. Not with paint, but with light sticks. Alien toys that shimmered in swirls of green and violet. Drawings of stars, of creatures, of Jace. She had drawn his smile 10 times. He didn't know how to feel about that. Sorella stood at the edge of the room watching Jace fix the heating vent. She didn't speak. Not yet. She studied his hands, his quiet movements. Finally, she asked, "Do you ever rest?" Not when there's a squeaky fan blowing cold air on a sleeping alien girl. Sorella almost smiled. Almost. Kari was asleep again, curled in the middle of the bed. She'd refused the guest cot. Jace didn't argue. He simply laid on the floor with a spare blanket each night, pretending it didn't bother his back. It did. Sorella offered her half of the bed once. He said no, not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't know how. Tensions grew in the station. Some humans didn't like that an alien queen was living with one of their own. Some aliens didn't like that a royal had bonded so deeply with a human. They whispered. They watched. Sometimes they scowled, but Jace ignored it, until the whispering turned to warnings. Station command sent him a message. Security check scheduled. Your home will be scanned. Jace showed it to Sorella. Her face changed. They do. Not trust us, she said. They don't trust me either, he answered. They think I've been changed. Have you? Jace looked at Kari's sleeping face. Yes. The next morning the scan team came. 2 bots, 1 officer, 1 silent observer in a cloak. Tall, not from the station, not human. Sorella. Tensed. Jace greeted them calmly. Everything's open. Just don't wake the kid. They began scanning. Air particles, food trace, weapon readings. Then the cloaked figure spoke in a strange accent. This room holds an unnatural bond. Jace frowned. What does that mean? It means, the figure said, pulling back the hood, that something has been shared between species that cannot be unshared. He wasn't just any visitor. He was a memory reader. Rare. Dangerous. Not welcome in most worlds. You're not on the list, Jace said. I was requested by the Alliance. Your connection with the alien queen must be examined. Sorella stepped forward. You will not enter my thoughts. Then the bond is incomplete, he said, and therefore unstable. He raised his hand. It glowed. Jace stepped in front of her. You'll have to go through me. The figure tilted his head. You misunderstand. I am not here to judge. I am here to protect. From what? From what you may become. That night, Jace couldn't sleep. He stood by the station window, staring at the stars. His reflection stared back. He remembered the moment he picked Kari up in the storm. How light she felt. How heavy the world suddenly became. Sorella stood beside him now. You were brave today, she said. I was scared, Jace replied. Bravery is what we do when we are afraid. They stood in silence for a while. Then she said, On my world, we don't allow bonding outside our bloodlines. My decision has already shamed my house. Why do it then? She looked at him. Because I saw a man feed a child before feeding himself. Because I watched a stranger hold my daughter when she was broken. Because, for the first time in my life, I believed in something that wasn't tradition. Jace turned to face her. What do you believe in now? She stepped closer. You. The power went out not in the station, only in their room. Jace grabbed a light. He checked the panel. No sign of short circuit. Sorella took Kari into her arms and stood by the wall, silent but alert. Stay here, Jace said. He moved into the hallway. Dark. Too dark. Station lights never went fully off. This wasn't a malfunction. It was a message. Then, a sound behind him, a soft hum. He spun around. A shadow moved at the far end of the hall. Then another. 2 figures in stealth suits. Quiet. Fast. Non-human. Jace stepped back into the room. Locked the door. We've got company. Sorella reached for the hidden weapon under the bed. A blade of folded crystal. They're not here for me, she said. They're here for Kari. Why now? Because our bond is almost complete. And if that happens, no one can claim her. Jace looked down at Kari. She was still asleep. What do? We hold them off, Sorella said, eyes burning. Or we disappear. The door shook. Kari woke up and ran to Jace. He held her tightly. You remember what I said? You're safe here. She nodded, even through tears. Sorella raised her blade. Stand behind me. Jace picked up a metal bar from his toolbox. No, he said, I'll stand beside you. When danger returned, the door creaked. Metal bent under pressure. Jace held the bar tighter. Kari hid behind him, clutching his leg. Sorella stood in front of both, her crystal blade glowing with cold light. Then, the door burst open. 2 intruders rushed in fast like shadows. They didn't speak. They didn't hesitate. They moved with one goal, grab the child. Sorella met the first with a spin of her blade. The curved edge hummed as it struck armor, slicing sparks into the dark. Jace didn't wait. He swung the metal bar at the second attacker's knees. The sound cracked through the room. The figure fell, hissing through a mask. Jace stepped forward. Again, but the attacker rolled, grabbed his leg, and yanked. He hit the floor hard. Pain shot up his side. The attacker climbed over him, reaching for Kari. She screamed. Jace grabbed a fallen tool and drove it into the attacker's side. Wires sparked. The figure jolted, then went limp. He pushed the body off and crawled toward Kari. Sorella was holding off the other one. Barely. She was strong, graceful, but she was protecting, not killing. That made her slower. Too slow. The attacker slipped, past her guard and lunged toward Jace and Kari, but Jace was ready. He threw his weight forward, slamming into the figure. They crashed against the wall, both groaning. Jace punched with everything he had, not trained hits, just desperate ones. Sorella pulled the blade free and finished it. Both attackers lay still. The room stank of smoke and fear. Kari sobbed into Jace's chest. He held her. Tight. You're safe, he whispered, shaking. Sorella knelt beside them, touching their faces, checking for wounds. More will come, she said. This is only the beginning. Commander Rourke arrived with a full squad 10 minutes later. Too late. They stared at the damage. The bodies. The terrified child. The exhausted human. And the alien queen, calm and bloodstained. You said this was peaceful, Rourke growled. It was, Jace snapped, until someone let a bounty leak. Rourke narrowed his eyes. You're saying this was planned? Not by us. Sorella stood. Someone doesn't want this bond to complete, not because of love, but because of what it represents. Rourke frowned. And what's that? Hope, she said. And fear. Security teams swept the room. Dr. Hallie arrived soon after. She hugged Kyari gently, then looked at Jace. You're lucky, she whispered. Those weren't just mercenaries. They were Echo Blades, silent assassins trained for political erasure. Jace nodded, dazed. They almost erased us. Hallie checked the attackers. Both have memory chips encrypted. Sorella took one. I'll decode this myself. Rourke stepped forward. You're not authorized. Then stop me, she said, cold as ice. He didn't. Hours passed. Jace sat by the window, bruises blooming across his arms. Kari lay asleep again, her head on his lap. Sorella stood behind him, reading data from the chip. Her face grew darker with every scan. Finally, she spoke. It was someone inside the station. Jace turned. What? They sold our location, our schedule, even the room's layout. He stood. Who? She didn't answer, not with words. She turned the tablet to him. On the screen was a name. Chief Administrator Lennox, the man who processed new arrivals, the one who smiled too wide when Sorella first arrived. Jace's fists clenched. Why? He was paid by a shadow. Council, some humans, some aliens, all afraid of change, afraid of what we represent. Sorella looked at Jace. We cannot stay here anymore. You want to run? I want to survive. For Kari. For you. Jace looked at the sleeping child. No. We won't run. Then what? We make this public. The next morning, Jace stood in the station's main plaza, Sorella beside him, Kari holding both their hands. Behind them, a broadcast drone hovered, recording live. Jace stepped forward. Last night, he said, 2 assassins entered my home. They tried to take this child. They tried to break something we've been building, something based on trust, care, and love. His voice was steady, loud. They failed. People stared, watched. We've been quiet. We've followed rules. We've asked for peace. But someone on this station betrayed us. Chief Lennox, gasps. The crowd shifted. Jace pointed to the drone. We have proof. We have names. And we're not hiding anymore. Sorella spoke next. On my world, we believe bonds like this are sacred. You may call me queen, but today I speak not as royalty but as a mother, and as a woman who has grown to respect your kind. Kari looked up at her, then smiled at Jace. We will not be separated again, Sorella said. Not by fear, not by hatred. The broadcast spread across networks. Within hours, ships began to respond, some with support, others with threats. But the message was clear. The bond was real, and it was no longer in the shadows. That night, Jace sat beside the bed again. Kari had drawn something new, 3 figures holding hands. Jace, Kari, Sorella. Underneath, in shaky, alien script, she had written one word. Home. She asked the question. It was quiet again. Too quiet. After the broadcast, most of the station went still. No more attacks. No open words. Just silence. People passed Jace without speaking. Some nodded. Some looked away. But something had changed. Not just in them. In him, too. He no longer felt like a man out of place. He felt like a part of something. And That scared him more than any assassin ever could. Jace stared at the drawing Kari had made. The one with the three of them, hand in hand, under the stars. He smiled without meaning to. Then he heard footsteps behind him. Cirella entered the room, slow and thoughtful. She wasn't in her armor, just a soft gray robe from her homeworld, laced with silver lines that shimmered with every step. She walked past him and looked at the window. Beyond it, the stars blinked like faraway candles. "Do you know what that one is?" she asked, pointing to a blue star. "Sirius," Jace said, "brightest in our sky. We call it Zaharis. It means the eye that never closes. Nice name." "It watches bonds," she said softly. "Old legend says if two souls stand beneath it, their fates become tied." He laughed gently. "Sounds romantic." She didn't smile. Instead, she turned to face him fully. "Jace," she said, "I've made my decision." His heart skipped. "About what?" She stepped closer. "No more walls between them. In my culture, when a soul debt is repaid, the bond can be broken. Forgotten. We are free to walk away." He nodded slowly. "But I don't want to walk away." He looked into her eyes. "Not royal, not cold, just honest. I don't either." She reached into her robe and took out a small glass disc. Within it floated two rings, one silver, one glowing with a soft blue flame. Alien bonding rings, not just symbols. Sacred objects. "I don't want this to be just a thank you," she whispered. "Or a favor for saving my daughter. I want to build something, share breath, share home, share path." His voice broke a little. Are you asking?" "Yes." "You're sure?" She touched his cheek. "I've lived a life of control, duty, silence. But you taught me warmth, chaos, love." He held the ring gently. It pulsed in his palm. "If we do this," Jace said, "there's no turning back, not just for us, but for everyone watching. I don't want to turn back." They didn't tell Kari at first. They wanted her to feel it, not just hear it. So they let the days pass. Soft, slow days. Meals shared, stories told, laughter under blankets. Jace taught her human jokes. She taught him alien tongue twisters. They built a routine. And in that routine, something stronger formed. A family. But danger still hovered. One night, a coded message appeared on Jace's private comms. "The council knows. Bonding must not happen. Leave now or face consequences." He showed it to Cirella. She didn't blink. "We do not run. We protect Kari," Jace said. "We protect each other," she corrected. The next day, they held the ceremony. Not in a hall, not in public. Just the three of them, inside the ship bay where Jace had first fixed her broken comms module. Kari stood between them holding the rings. She didn't speak much. Just smiled. Cirella took the glowing ring and slid it onto Jace's hand. "With this," she said, "I give you the right to walk beside me, across stars and storms." Jace took the silver one and placed it on her finger. "With this," he whispered, "I give you the space in my world that was always waiting." Kari giggled and clapped her hands. Then they touched foreheads, a sacred gesture from Cirella's home. The rings pulsed. The bond was complete. Outside the ship bay, a shadow moved, watching, recording, and transmitting. An hour later, Jace's terminal blinked red. "Incoming message, high priority, from Galactic Alliance." He opened it. A face appeared, alien, stern, cloaked in gray. "This union violates interspecies codes of conduct. Further connection will result in exile. Or worse." Jace stared. "You're threatening us?" "We are warning you." Cirella stepped into view. "Then consider this our answer." She shut the terminal. They both turned to Kayari. "What do we do now?" she asked. Jace knelt beside her. "Now," he smiled, "we go forward." Their future among stars. The stars outside the station no longer looked peaceful. Ships hovered in silent formation. 3 Alliance cruisers, heavy and gray. Their engines burned blue, weapons armed but silent. They didn't speak. They didn't fire. They waited. Inside the station, Jace paced the docking bay floor. His home was packed into one bag. Tools, photos, Kari's drawings. The silver ring still pulsed on his hand. He looked up at the ceiling, then over at Kari. She stood with her small backpack, hugging a stuffed drone toy. Her eyes were brave, but she clung to him tighter than ever. Cirella watched the sky through the viewport. They won't stop with threats, she said quietly. They will send a boarding crew soon. How many? Enough to force us apart. Not happening. Jace turned to her. Do we run? We move forward. He nodded. Then it's time. Commander Rourke met them at the exit corridor. He looked tired, older than he was. You're really going? He asked. Jace nodded. They're making us choose. Rourke looked at Kari. That girl changed this place. She changed me, Jace said. You've started something, you. No, something bigger than this station. Maybe, Jace said. But right now I just want to keep my family safe. Rourke handed him a sealed chip. This has your official transfer record. It'll slow them down a few hours. I slipped a few backdoors into the Alliance system. Cirella raised an eyebrow. You're helping us? Rourke gave a small smirk. Let's just say, I believe in what you've built. Jace shook his hand. No more words were needed. Their shuttle lifted off at midnight. No fanfare. No lights. Just dark space and silent resolve. Kari sat between them, watching stars blur past the windows. Cirella touched her shoulder gently. Are you afraid? Kari shook her head. I'm with you. Jace smiled. She's braver than both of us. Cirella smiled too, then turned serious. We need a place beyond their reach, somewhere we can grow without chains. Jace pulled up a map on the console. I know a place, unmarked, quiet, green skies, old Earth outpost from centuries ago, forgotten. Does it have power? Enough to live, like does it have laws and just ours? As the ship moved farther, Alliance signals followed. Warning messages, threats of capture, orders to return. Jace ignored them all, then came the final message. Not text, not video, but a voice. An old one. A member of the High Council. Human. You've broken the natural order. Our unity depends on species staying within their kind. Love does not justify lawlessness. Jace leaned toward the mic. Then maybe your laws are broken. You will be hunted. Then we'll keep moving. You will be alone. Jace looked at Kari and Cirella. Never. He cut the transmission and smiled. Weeks passed, then months. They found the old world, once called Elysia Prime. Once a dream, now dusted and quiet. They rebuilt it, a home in the hills. Solar towers, water from deep wells, air so clean it made Kari laugh. They planted alien flowers. They painted walls again. They built rooms not just for sleep, but for hope. And slowly, stories spread. People came. A tired human pilot and his alien wife. A pair of twin scientists. One from a gas world, one from Mars. A child from the ruins of a war planet. They came because they heard of the bond that defied rules and built something new. One evening, Jace sat outside their home, watching Kari draw stars in the dirt. Cirella walked out, wrapped in a soft shawl, her crown, long packed away. They haven't sent a new ship in weeks, she said. Maybe they gave up, or maybe they're watching. He looked at her. Do you care? She shook her head. Not anymore. Jace reached for her hand. They watched Kari finish her star drawing. Then she looked up at them. Will they come for us again? Jace answered first. Maybe, Cirella answered next. But they won't break us. Kari stood and ran to them, wrapping them both in a hug. Then we win, she whispered. Jace kissed the top of her head. Yeah, kid, we already did. Above them, the sky sparkled, blue, green, violet. 3 rings glowed, stars wrapped around, each other in a slow, eternal dance. A perfect match, just like them. The end.